Welcome, everyone. My name is David Jenemann. I am the Dean of the Honors College. I've met many of you before, seen many of you in various contexts, but I'm thrilled to welcome you to the first of our activities for the month of visit activities that the university is hosting for students and parents. I am the Dean of the Honors College. As I said, I use he, him pronouns. And tonight I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we have been up to for the first few weeks of the semester, and then hopefully give us an opportunity to ask questions, chat a little bit, fill people in on some upcoming events, and so on. I think the first thing I should share with everyone is just how wonderful it is to be back in person. The campus is alive. Students are out and about all over. As I was walking home this evening, there were spike ball games happening on the lawn, basketball games happening on the basketball court right behind University Heights, students with their hammocks strung up, students sitting out studying, students trying and failing to do skateboard tricks out on one of the other basketball courts. It's a really lively campus right now, and it's great to see everyone back and engaged. I'll say from a classroom perspective, because I teach one of the first year seminars, that it's been a real pleasure to have students back in the classroom, engaged in class activities, in person, and the first 3-4 weeks of the semester were some of the best that I've ever seen. I think people have been really happy to be back. The honeymoon is starting to wear off a little bit. The reality of college life is hitting for students. The first few exams have come and gone. The first few paper assignments have come and gone. And so, the reality of what college life is like is starting to settle in for students. And that's okay. What we find as September turns into October is that's the time that students start to need a little bit of extra support. And one of the things I'm going to talk to you all about tonight are some of the things that your students can do to make sure that they're finding the supports they need through us or through other resources on campus. Other things that have been going on in the Honors College started with a great orientation weekend. Had a welcome event welcoming all of the first year students to campus. That welcome event was also followed that weekend by the university convocation, which is an annual ritual where the students gather. This year we did it outside for the first time, which was, I think, a really great move on the part of the university. We had all of the first year class and all of the sophomore class who didn't get a chance to experience convocation last year, who gathered, heard some remarks by the president and the provost and student government leaders, and then we proceeded en masse, the students, the administration, the deans, some of the faculty members, down from the Harris Commons over by the Student Center over to the main green on campus between Prospect and University. I'm sorry, not University Place, but over by Waterman. And then we had the traditional candle lighting ceremony of convocation. It was a beautiful event, gorgeous night. The sun was setting over Lake Champlain and the Adirondacks, and the enthusiasm was really palpable. In the Honors College, we've had a number of events keyed to the first few weeks of class. We had a welcome barbecue where we saw about 500 students show up outside in the area behind University Heights North, which is our residence hall. Students had, hamburgers, hot dogs, pasta salad, vegetarian options, got to mingle with each other, got to meet pretty much all of the dogs affiliated with the Honors College. So my dog Grover was out for a little while. Willow, Scott Clark, one of our advisors' dogs was out. Vivian, our undergraduate research coordinator's dog was there. So the students got some good time with each other, good time with the staff, and some good time getting to meet the Honors College dogs. The peer mentor program has been hosting a number of events that students have been engaged with. That started the orientation weekend and the first week with some walks around campus, some opportunities to get outside, to be unmasked, to have some conversations, to tour the campus. We've taken students over to Centennial Woods for some walks. There's been a peer mentor cookie night where one of the peer mentors baked cookies for folks. We did a chili night for the sophomores, particularly the sophomore admits. I'm gonna bring out my all-day mac and cheese in a couple weeks as the weather gets a little bit colder, and try and feed as many students as I can with as many pans of mac and cheese as I can possibly cook. Also, I've challenged the students this semester to get outside and to be active, and that challenge is something we're calling HCOL Coast to Coast. The idea is if the students can walk, run, roll, stroll 3,000 miles collectively over the course of the semester or over the year, that I'll spring for a pizza party for everybody. Each week on Thursdays, we've been having a run, walk, roll where we do a little 5K course. And we've gotten 7, 8, 10 students out each week. So we're slowly getting our way there. I think if you were to measure it on the map, we're somewhere in the Adirondacks right now. So we got a little ways to go before we get all 3,000 miles from North Beach in Burlington to North Beach in San Francisco, but we're on our way. Another thing I wanted to share with people that we've been doing this semester, so because there may be some folks on the call who have known the Honors College in the past. In previous years, with the first year seminar, we had what was called plenary. And plenary was a weekly time that all of the students in the first year class had on their calendar. It's Wednesday evenings from 5 to 6:20, where they would all attend a lecture or some programming en masse. And what we found about Common Hour is that Common Hour was great oftentimes, but sometimes it wasn't for everyone. The plenary wasn't for everyone. So we've gone to a little bit different model this year that we're calling Common Hour. And what Common Hour is an opportunity for students to explore different topics, different areas of interest, meet with different professionals, either on campus or around the community, and get to learn a little bit about different things. We're going to have a couple that are going to be for the entire first year class, but most of them are just going to be open opportunities for students, both the first year students who have that hour Wednesday evenings open for themselves, and for any Honors College student who wants to attend. So the first of our common hours was what we called Advisapalooza, which was just a session where we introduced everyone to the Honors College advising team. But then we had a neuroscientist in to talk about neuroscience, psychology, and the relationship between mind and body. We had a professor of economics in to talk about how they do impact evaluation of economic issues in real world settings. This week, just last night, we invited Alicia Laramie, who works with the Association for Africans Living in Vermont, to talk about some of the work that they're doing with new Americans and the research on new farms and new farmers in the United States. Upcoming, we're going to have a presentation on voting rights and voting activism. We're going to have a presentation by one of the librarians to talk about doing research and how to use the library. The dean of the College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences is going to come and talk about how to think about career paths in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Likewise, the dean of the College of Medicine, the Larner College of Medicine, is going to come to talk to any student who's interested about career paths in health and medicine. So the reason why we've gone to this model is because we really want to give students an opportunity to have those smaller, more intimate opportunities to connect with professionals, with faculty, with university administrators about their areas of interest, and learn about them, where they can feel free to ask their questions, really engage face to face. And so far they've been pretty popular. I walk by the multi-purpose room in our building where we host these, and the students are lining up to get in for each of them. So so far it's been a great opportunity for students to engage with one another. They'll still have plenty of opportunities to see each other as a class, but we thought that this smaller, more intimate setting was a great way to cultivate people and meet them where their interests were. A couple of other things I will mention. As I said, this is the point in the semester where things start to get real in terms of their classes. The first chemistry exam has happened. The labs have started for some students who are doing work in the sciences. Essays have come due. The next round of Honors College essays for the first year class are due next Tuesday or next Monday, depending on which section they're in of the Honors College class. So understanding that, I wanted to let people know about some of the resources available. Your students have been learning about these from the advising team and from all of us, but if you're talking to your students about how it's going and they're saying that they're wondering where to get support, lots of different places. We have a tutoring center on campus. Many of those tutors are discipline specific, many are even class specific, and we have tutors who have been through the Honors College, know about the Honors College first year curriculum. Likewise, the Writing Center. We've got Writing Center support. Students can go to the Writing Center, but we also host Writing Center events in University Heights for students who are living there, and even students who aren't living there can come and avail themselves of the Writing Center events. Those students are typically students who've also gone through the Honors College and can help with the specific types of essays they'll be writing in their HCOL classes. There's also a Study Buddies program on campus, which sounds like something you would have done in elementary school, but the concept of it is translatable to college, where you get connected with someone who is in a similar class that you are, and you work on keeping each other going in the class. I mean, it's just an opportunity to find some partner in class to help you work on the material. What we find is that in a lot of classes, particularly in things like chemistry and some of the more challenging math classes and computer science and so on, that students just need that extra little bit of support to get through courses that are run at a much faster rate, and a much faster clip than they're used to. The last thing I'll say before opening it up to questions, actually two last things I'll say before opening it up to questions. Instead of having a parents' weekend, as we typically do, in order to reduce the critical mass of people on campus, the university has gone to a number of weeks of activities, both virtual and in person, for parents to visit and students and parents to interact over the course of the first 3 weeks of October. For the Honors College, this is the first of those events, the Dessert with the Dean that we're having tonight. However, each of the next 3 Saturdays, so this Saturday, October 9th and October 16th, we'll be hosting in University Heights, for people who happen to be on campus and visiting, pastries and coffee. So, if you're visiting your student, want to grab a quick breakfast, get to mingle with folks in the University Heights lobby, or if you just want to grab something and go, whichever way you happen to go, there'll be coffee and pastry for you at our building. And then the following Thursday, so not the 7th, but the 14th, we'll be hosting another event somewhat like this, but the theme of it will be that it's hosted by current and alumni peer mentors. So if you want to hear things from the student perspective about how things are going in the Honors College, or to learn a little bit about some of the experiences that our Honors College alums have had with writing their thesis, with going onto the job market, with applying to graduate school and medical school, that's a great opportunity for people to connect again, and just to hear some of those stories. They're always really powerful. The students are far more engaging, far more exciting than I am, I'm sure, for many people. So we really wanted to offer that opportunity as well. And again, that will be October 14th. The last thing I'll say is that your student may be asking, well, how do I find out about my major? How do I find out about study abroad? How do I find out about getting involved in research? From the first week of the semester and really through the first 6 or 7 weeks of the semester, the students have been hearing a lot about the advising team in the Honors College. Every student on campus has an advisor in their home college. And so if your student's in a specific major and they have questions about that major, the best place for them to go for that information is to their home college advisor, because they're going to know the specifics of the major better than those of us in the Honors College who look at the university very broadly. However, if your student is interested in study abroad, if they're interested in getting involved in a lab or getting involved in a research project, if they're considering changing their major or wondering if they're in the right major, our advising team is there to help. And our advising team is not only our 2 academic advisors, whose primary job it is to do the nuts and bolts of academic advising. It's also our fellowships, opportunities, and undergraduate research team, which consists of an undergraduate research coordinator who can answer questions about getting involved in research, a fellowships advisor who can start to talk to students about, well, thinking about what might happen down the road when you're interested in finding those opportunities for funding, either to do research or to go abroad, or to go to graduate school, and are looking for those sources of funding to do so. And then over all of the fellowships, opportunities, and undergraduate research, or FOR office, is our director of that office, who kind of, is able to help students as they go through the process of either research or fellowships, and are at that point where they're ready to submit for, a national or international fellowship, or are ready to translate their research into a conference presentation. And for those of you who are either first-year students or are here for first-year students, that might sound like it's a million years away, but our idea is that we want students to just start thinking about what that trajectory is early, so that they build towards it. And it seems like a pretty seamless transition from step to step, rather than suddenly at the end of their college career saying, oh, I need to do X, Y, or Z, or I never got involved in a lab, or whatever it might be. So that's why we think of this as an advising team that's really just helping students with all of the mechanics of getting through college and building from success to success as they go. That's my introduction. As typically happens with my introductory statements, I probably went too fast, if only because I'm really excited about everything that has been happening this semester, and also because I'm conscientious of the fact that I want people to have lots of time to ask questions. So with that, I will flip over to the Q&A and see what questions people have. And please just chime in, and they can be really about any topic at all. Okay, so the first question is about feeling overwhelmed, which is, as I said, that's happening at this time. So the question is, my daughter's feeling overwhelmed about the amount of work she has due. How does she ask for an extension? Is there someone in the Honors College who can help her? So the short answer is, well, there's a multi-part answer here. The first is that if your student is feeling overwhelmed, it's always good to have that conversation with a faculty member. All faculty members have office hours. All faculty members, are excited to see students. I always joke that, I post my office hours every semester, and I end up feeling like the Maytag man, if you remember that old series of ads, like, because I just sit and nobody ever visits me. Faculty members are an amazing resource for students. That is an underutilized one. Really encourage your student to go to the faculty members' office hours to talk about feeling, that you're having trouble keeping up, that you might be overwhelmed. You might want to encourage them then to talk to one of the Honors College advisors, because they can talk to them about study skills, study habits, and connect them with some of the resources on campus that help students get the sort of support they need. They might also have a conversation with the student about whether the classes they're in or the major they're in are the right ones for them. So that's what I would suggest as a sort of a first response to the question about, if you're feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, there are lots of resources in the Honors College, from the faculty to the advising team to, honestly, give me a call too, because I'm sure I'll have some pertinent advice as well. Okay. Next question is, my students interested in getting out and working in the community. Do Honors College students get involved in volunteering, public service, etc.? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have students working in everything from, political campaigns to, as I mentioned, students who are working with New Americans and the new farming program. We have students who work with great sociology professor, Kathy Fox, who actually is going to be coming for one of the common hours I was mentioning. And she does university in prison work. So she brings university curriculum into prisons. It's a nationally renowned program that she helps operate. We have students who are also working with our folks who are working on some of the conservation activities on campus, having to do with water quality and the Lake Champlain watershed. So depending on what that community is and the area of interest the students have, our students are out there engaging the community in lots and lots of different ways. The thing I would add to that, which I think is sometimes lost in the conversation about an interest in community engagement, is that the students who are really interested in community engagement should also think about how that might translate into their academic engagement. They don't have to be compartmentalized necessarily, right? Sometimes they're different, but we love when students take their passion for working with a community, a New American community, the community of people who are working on water issues, the folks who are working on different conservation issues, and translate that into the research they're doing. And there's lots of opportunities to do that. So you shouldn't necessarily think of these things as extracurriculars in the sense that they have nothing to do with your identity as a young scholar. Okay. So last year, the next question is, last year my son wasn't able to meet with his advisor in person. Are students still getting academic advising online? So the answer to that is yes, they can still get advising online. However, our advisors and our advising team is here on campus. They have appointments available here at University Heights. I guess I'm not at University Heights right now, but in University Heights, we also have drop-in hours where we've been, as long as the weather is nice, setting up tables outside. One of the advising team is typically out there each day of the week for a certain amount of time, and students can just drop in and chat and say hello. So there's plenty of opportunities for in-person advising, but If students feel more comfortable with a remote or a Teams advising session, they can do that as well. Sorry for the phone ringing in the background. The next question I'm seeing is my daughter is questioning her choice of major. It's likely freshman jitters. Who should she talk to? Again, this kind of follows up on the question I answered earlier. You know, talking to her faculty members, certainly talking to our advising team, talking to the advisors in the home college. We're all there to support students. You know, there are lots and lots of students who come to university and they think they're on a particular career path, and they discover that that's not the path they're on. We have a really good friend of the Honors College, one of our external advisory board members, a guy by the name of Josh Prince, who is very successful in the advertising industry and the sweetest person you've ever met. And he comes and gives a talk to our students who are, you know, interested in pursuing fields in business, or pursuing opportunities in business. And he says that he started down the path. His dad was a doctor. He started down the path to being a physician, and he hit organic chemistry. And he's doing a slide presentation of this. And when he says he hit organic chemistry, the slide literally catches fire. Like it's an animation, but the slide disappears in a puff of smoke. And he says, you know, he never lost his love of medicine, but what he realized that he was much better about communicating what was happening in medicine than doing medicine and the sciences related to medicine itself. And so he became an English major. He ended up working for the student newspaper, The Cynic, and he translated those experiences into a career in advertising. And he's one of the leading lights in advertising having to do with medicine, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and he came to that because he was open to conversations with advisors about changing their major, maybe taking those passions and translating them into another field. And so, that's something that our advising team sees all the time. So they should certainly seek out their advisor. Next question with a lot of likes, so it must be a good one. If we appreciate your attention to this year's sophomores, especially those who are new to the Honors College as sophomores. I am the parent of a sophomore in college, and I know what they've been experiencing. It's been a real challenge. In some ways, it's as though we have two first-year classes on campus. Yes, they were taking classes, but for many of them, those classes are remote, and those connections you make in your first weeks of college, the getting to know the campus, the getting to know the lay of the land and the clubs and things like that, they're getting acclimated to that in the same way that the first-year students are. So we're trying to do as much as we can to make sure they're feeling comfortable, at home, and on the right path as we can, because in some ways they miss the most in all of this. Okay, if we're hearing, and this is a really good question too, if we're hearing I want to come home and it's more concerning than typical homesickness, who do we call or give a heads up to? Certainly give us a call here in the Honors College. We, not that we are experts in this, but we can make sure that your student is connected with the support services, whether it's the psychological services folks on campus and seeing about getting them an appointment, whether it's our Dean of Students office, who's a great resource to help students, making sure they're getting the supports they need. If it's, on the order of, not having good sleep habits, not having good study habits, not, settling into the college experience, we can connect them with our Living Well team. But, you can use us as a point of contact to make sure those connections are getting brokered. And hopefully it is just homesickness. I'm the parent of 3 kids, and they're very different in their attitude towards these things. One is one who, we'll be hearing about from all the time, about things, about the daily activities, the daily worries. One, we have to remind that we're still, here and on the planet, because we won't hear from that one otherwise. And it really varies from student to student. And they're both absolutely normal, is what I've realized, that like there's no right way to do this. But if the homesickness is concerning, give us a call and we can make sure that they're getting connected with who they need to get connected to. Next question, can you tell us what will be happening for juniors and seniors? Yeah, we are, happy that they are back too. They have had some disruptions in terms of their connection to research, and so we're really trying to make sure that students, juniors and seniors, are on the right path to completing their thesis. We're working really closely with the home colleges, to make sure that handoff, because they're not taking honors college classes, but they are still honors college students who doing research in their home colleges. We're making sure that handoff is going really well. I just actually ran into our dean of the College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences today, and she and I said, tomorrow we're going to sit down and we're going to hammer out, how to make that thesis process for engineers, more seamless than it's been in the past. So we're trying to identify areas where we can really step in and support students. The other thing I would say is that all of the activities I have mentioned, from the Common Hour to the mac and cheese to the running walking challenge, those are all open to all students. And so, if you're hearing from your students, they're feeling a little bit disconnected, you might want to say, did you get the email from Dean Jenemann or Associate Dean Mineta about the activities? And why don't you think about engaging with some of those? We love to see the juniors and seniors, coming back. Likewise, the peer mentor events aren't just simply for first year students, they're for every honors college student. Okay. Next question is, what are the benefits of being a TA? I think I'm pretty sure there's a reduction in your room and board costs. That's certainly a benefit. A big benefit of being a TA. I thought you meant an resident assistant. Of being a teacher's assistant. Well, I mean, as a teacher's assistant. The benefit is working closely with a faculty member who is, like relying on you to administer parts of the class, get to know the students, engage with the students, think about the pedagogy at a deeper level. I will say that one of my TAs, when I was a faculty member, primarily a faculty member, ended up being our undergraduate research coordinator for a number of years. And so those connections that you make as a TA can lead to future connections down the road. I was a TA and an RA, and don't forget that that's a research assistant, for a number of faculty members, and I ended up getting publication credit as a result of it. Ended up having my name acknowledged in some books. I mean, those are things that you can point to as you're building your resume down the line. Okay, next question. Arriving on campus masked, practicing social distancing, and now living in tight quarters with masked strangers, how do you feel their emotional, relational adjustment has been? Do you see new friendships and relationships to the degree you hoped in the middle of COVID? Yeah, and again, I'm only going to say this from the perspective of the guy who sits in an administrative office and sees 21 of them in class a couple times a week. I interact with the students a lot, but my sense is that this is, masks aside, this is a first year of college for a lot of these students. like it is for many others. They're figuring out who their friend groups are. They're figuring out where their favorite place to eat is. I did an exercise in class today because I like to periodically just take stock of who they are and how they're feeling. So I asked them 3 questions about the day's reading, and then the 4th question is, tell me something that gave you joy in the last 72 hours. And the answers ranged from, I went hiking on Mount Mansfield with a group of my friends, to, I went plant shopping with one of my friends, to I made a new friend, to I'm finding that the food in the Harris Millis dining hall is getting better, and I'm really like going there with my roommates. But each and every answer about what was giving the students joy had to do with like the connections they're making. So, I think at that level, they are making those connections. The masks are challenging, I will say, mostly in the classroom setting, where it's really hard. That connection you make with students when you're seeing them face to face is harder when you're only seeing half of their faces. And I'm struggling personally to learn their names as quickly as I usually do. And so the secret I've discovered this year, which I learned last year, is that for the first 3 weeks of class, I made placards for each of the students with their name and their pronouns on them. And now I've got it. There are in one of my classes 2 young women with long brown hair, both named Grace, who sit next to each other, and they're giving me fits. But for the most part, like, that's been the hardest thing about the mask, is just that, facial recognition in the class. I think the students have figured out like how to interact with each other just fine. How long does it take to normally schedule appointments with advisors? Is there a long wait to get replies back? My daughter hasn't heard back in several days, and this seems to work against getting support in time-sensitive concerns. I guess this might be worth a follow-up question about whether it's an advisor in the home college or the honors college. If it's in the honors college, we use the university scheduling system called Navigate. Students should be able to go to Navigate and see when advising appointments are available, and then just sign up for those advising appointments. So if a student's having trouble getting an advising appointment, you might want to suggest to them, and we can reiterate this message too, that they can just go into the scheduling system and sign up for one when they need one. And there should not be any there shouldn't be any delay in that, because we have advising appointments available with someone on the advising team throughout the week. I am pretty sure that that's the case across the campus, and it should be the case across the campus as well. So if, like I said, if your student's having trouble getting that appointment, they should check on Navigate. If it's a matter of not getting an email back from someone, then we can make sure that our advisors, if it's in our office, make sure that our advisors are getting back to people in a timely fashion. Okay. Any plans to improve food choices for students who are gluten-free and dairy-free and vegan? Thank you for saying that, if only because it's a reminder that I have to do a gluten-free option for the mac and cheese that I do. But that is something that you should contact the Department of Student Affairs about, and they can relay that message to our colleagues in Sodexo who are running the food options. It is not something that the Honors College has any say over, but I would reach out to the Department of Student Affairs, let them know your concerns. I know that the university is, on top of issues like that, and try to provide a wide range of options for all students' dietary needs. And if you're not finding that, that's information they'll want to know. Okay. All right, so our son is a junior in the Honors College and Business School, Entrepreneurship Marketing. His natural inclination is not much in research and writing, but I think he would thrive from successfully completing an honors thesis. He's taking the honors research methods seminar now. What additional support might be available to him? That's a great question, and it's one we've had some really great success stories in business, but it is a field where the idea of writing 45, 50, 70 page essay isn't necessarily aligned with what a business student typically does. I would suggest that your son reach out to me and then reach out to our Office of Fellowships, Opportunities, and Undergraduate Research to talk to our undergraduate research coordinator, who will have lots of good examples of thesis projects that students in business have done. And I use the term projects rather than papers because there are lots and lots of theses that aren't written thesis papers. Yeah, there's usually a written component to it where people are, outlining their work or framing their work, but there are lots of thesis projects that don't have writing as their primary component to it. We have students who do suites of paintings or musical compositions or podcasts as their thesis. And if your student's creativity runs towards doing something in the business school, the Grossman School of Business, that isn't a written thesis, we're completely supportive of that. So reach out to us and me into the FOR office, and we'll get them connected with a good solution. Okay. Next, does UVM emphasize to faculty the importance of promptly responding to emails sent by students? Messaging tends to encourage students to reach out to faculty, but faculty may not respond promptly. That's a great question, and I'll admit that I'm sometimes guilty of it too. And so what I tell students at the get-go is, given the volume of email I get in a day, if I don't respond in 24 hours, ping me again. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel like they're bugging me. It's just sometimes things get missed, or sometimes I'm just not getting back to email as quickly as possible. And that's advice I'd give to every student. In terms of emphasizing it to faculty, we do absolutely. But faculty members are their own folks. What I would say is that by and large, the faculty members on campus really do care about students and student success. They've got a lot of obligations. They've got a lot of constraints on their time. Many of them are teaching 200-300 students a semester, and for many of the faculty, they're also maintaining their own research agenda, which is taking up a sizable portion of their time too. So I'm not going to make excuses for not getting back to students, but if somebody's not getting back to your student, ping them. Absolutely encourage your student to ping them. If they don't get a response after pinging them once or twice, then they should reach out to somebody in their dean's office, either their home college dean or to us in the Honors College, and we can find out what's going on. Next question is there Honors College financial support for interesting summer work or internships? I'll say, just before I answer that question, I love these Dessert with the Dean events, even though I don't get to see people face to face. I love the questions. The questions in this event where your students are actually on campus and have gotten to know the Honors College, either because they've been here for a few weeks or they've been here for a few years, the questions are so much more nuanced, direct, and informed. They've been great. I've been loving the questions. In terms of financial support for summer work and internships, yes, absolutely. Our primary in-house support for students in the summer is through some of our summer research awards, but those can involve working in labs, working with faculty members, working on their own research projects. We do support some internships internally, but we have a great partnership with the Career Services Office, and so depending on what the particular interest of the student is, we're either going to encourage them to pursue some funding opportunities in the Honors College as they might relate to research or future research, and a couple of other internship opportunities we have. But we might also refer them to some of our friends in the Career Services offices who will have a much broader array of different types of internships at their disposal. Next, from Catherine, with all the disruption of COVID in the last 2 years, my students' hope for study abroad have been rather deflated. Do you think the study abroad office is able to help students think through opportunities and offer more creative options, summer, winter break, et cetera? Does HCOL have any visibility on that? Well, what I'll say first of all is that we do not know for sure that study abroad opportunities will resume in the spring semester. It is our hope, however, that study abroad opportunities will resume in the spring semester. That said, we are hosting, we had one last night, we're hosting two more kind of all Honors College, predominantly first year activities, but they're available for all Honors College students, common hours related to study abroad. It might not actually each be at the common hour time, but they'll be announced ahead of time for students to attend. There are opportunities through the Honors College to do study abroad. We have a program that we partner with a group called Principia at the University of Glasgow in Scotland. We have a bilateral exchange where students come from the University at Maastricht in the Netherlands, and we send students there. But we also work very closely with the Office of International Education to help students get connected to study abroad opportunities. The university runs a couple of winter programs. I know there's one in the past that's been run to Costa Rica. There's been some other opportunities that are shorter in scale, more on the 4 to 6 week scope. We also do some summer things. But again, I think the Office of International Education will be a great resource if they're not getting the information they need from our study abroad sessions in the next couple of weeks. All right. Another question, does UVM have an alert system? My daughter heard something about an incident on campus this week. Do parents have an alert system that they can join? Yes, we do have the CAT alert system, and what your student may have been letting you know about was an incident that happened in a dorm room. And I'll say, as a preface to this, is that everything ended up just fine. All of the systems worked exactly as they could. Two students who had either come to or were going to some martial arts training were walking into the dorm together, fooling around. One student was also holding a cell phone in their hand. A student who encountered them as they were walking into the building was concerned that one of them might be holding a weapon, and they called police services. They did exactly what they should do. They called police services. Police services, immediately sent out an alert that some suspicious activity had taken place, and that alert went to everybody on campus who has signed up for the alert system. I got pinged on a Sunday afternoon. I know our assistant dean, Britt Chase, is on the line right now monitoring the questions. She got pinged as well. The dormitory was put in lockdown. As a parent of 3 kids, this is an experience we've had, in the schools as well. They did all the lockdown procedures as they should. They evaluated the video of the building because the videos are under surveillance. They interviewed. They figured out what students were involved. They interviewed the students. They determined there was no cause for concern, and they lifted the lockdown and sent an alert to campus that the lockdown was was lifted. We then on Monday got a description of what had happened. So all of this is to say, yes, there is an alert system. In this instance, where there was ultimately no cause for concern, like it was a good example of the system working effectively to do exactly what it should. As far as whether parents can sign up for that alert system, I am not 100% clear about that. I can find some information about that, and we can communicate that to the Honors College community. But you can look online at Cat Alert. If you search UVM Cat Alert, it will tell you about it. And if you can sign up for it off campus as an off-campus person, it'll let you know that too. All right, other questions. When should juniors start thinking about their final project? What should they be doing at this point? That's a great question, and it's going to vary from student to student. Most juniors are going to, depending on the college they're in, are going to be taking either a research methods course or a thesis prep course in their home college, along with some honors enrichment courses that are offered in certain colleges. They should be talking to their home college advisors about that. Those requirements are also listed on the Honors College website under junior senior requirements. So if they haven't already, and as they've gone through the Honors College, they've gotten opportunities to see this. They've seen the 4-year Honors College plan that our student advisory group put together a couple of years ago. If they've missed all of this up until now, they should go as soon as they can to the junior senior requirements on the Honors College website, and it will spell out what they should be doing in each of their home colleges. In terms of a final project, the beginning of the junior year is certainly not too late to do that. But they should have a sense of like what their academic interests are and what types of things they might be interested in doing research on. And then they should start making those outreaches to faculty members. If they haven't been doing so already, if they haven't found that faculty member that they feel like they really want to work with, or they really want to explore their area of expertise, or they want to get into their lab, now is the time to do that. If they don't know who that person is, they should absolutely reach out to our Fellowships, Opportunities, and Undergraduate Research Office, the FOR office, because then we can help them get connected with those people, because that's who we interact with. We kind of know the lay of the land of what people are working on and who might be interested in working with your student. So this is perfect time for them to be doing that. They should start with the website to look at the requirements. Then they should reach out to the FOR office. All right. Oh my gosh. Which advisor is best for first years to get to know first, the home college advisor or the Honors College advisor, and what is a success team? Okay, so I would say that there's no strict you have to go here first and then you go there. If a student has questions about their major, their home college curriculum, the courses they might want to take in their home college, they should probably go to their home college advisor, because their home college advisor is going to have more specialized information for your student. If, however, the student is thinking about changing their major or exploring different majors, if your student is interested in campus opportunities for research or student engagement, or potentially down the line applying for a fellowship or something like that. And again, I understand that it may be early for a first year student to be thinking about these things, but if they're starting to think about like, well, what is the path I'm on, then they can reach out to the Honors College advisors. They do that by going into Navigate, which is this program I talked about, and kind of there's a list of questions about what they might be interested in, and that's gonna send them in the direction either of an academic advisor, or to somebody in the FOR office to help them with some of the opportunities on campus, some of the programming, some of the undergraduate research offerings we have. So that advising team of our academic advisors and the FOR office is what we call our advising team or our success team. And the idea is that we just want people to have those connections early and often and get to know the entirety of the Honors College, because somewhere along the way they're going to be talking to each one of us, me included, because hopefully at the end of their Honors College experience, they're talking to me about the Fulbright fellowship they're applying for, or the medical school application that they're doing, and they want they want some input and advice, and maybe even an endorsement letter for me about those things. So that's to the extent that we call it a success team. That's what we mean, is that we're hoping to build students from where they are now to all of their future successes. All right, to one more question and one more comment. If we think it would be helpful to have peer mentors or RAs reach out to our student, what's the best way to facilitate that? That's a great question. I would just shoot a note to the main Honors College email address, honors.college@uvm.edu, and just let us know that, and we can broker that conversation. It'll get exactly to where it needs to go. So yeah, just an email to us, and we can make sure they get some connection with a peer mentor or an RA. And then Kathy just said thank you, and thank you all. This has been a great event. It's been nice to hear everybody's questions. I hope I can see some of you in person if you're visiting campus. Please feel free to look me up, send me an email. Don't hesitate to do so. My office number is on the emails you get from me or your students get from me, so they'll know how to contact me too. But thanks, the students have really been lovely. It's been so great to have them back, to see their energy and enthusiasm. Thank you for parents for all that you've done to get them to this point. And keep the questions coming, and looking forward to chatting with you all again soon. Take care and have a great night.